Okay, I'm going to start my next episode of Losing Touch with Reality. It's the second book in my series, Life Beyond Silence. The first book in my series, Not a Victim, a Survivor, Life Beyond Domestic Violence and Rape. I did a podcast of it that recently finished. That was the first book. Losing Touch with Reality is the second book in the series, and I have just started the podcast on it. If you have any questions or comments, you're welcome to put them, and I will try my very best to answer them. The reason I wanted to do the podcast in the beginning was because, I did the books a while back, and I guess it was to motivate me to finish and publish on Amazon the second and third book. Plus, I think it was a way that I could have a different venue with the readers or listeners. And it gave me, I don't know, it gave me an avenue that I thought would be good at this time in my life. And if it can help anyone that's going through hardship like I did, if it can help them somehow find solace, peace, so to speak. I mean, I made a lot of mistakes, and I take full responsibility for my life. If I could have made better choices, or if I would have made better choices, then maybe my life would be different. And maybe things would be different overall. But I didn't. And when you make bad choices and your life does seem to be snowballing downhill, and in my case, into a pit of hell, like literally you kick yourself, but you just can't seem to get yourself out. And after all these years, I've made peace with the fact that I can't change what happened. There's nothing I can do to go back and redo it. You don't get a redo in life. And no matter if you're in a domestic violence relationship, if you've been raped, if you kept making the wrong choices in life and you kept putting yourself in harm's way, there's nothing you can do to change it. All you can do is just pick yourself up and remind yourself that you can't change what has happened. All you can do is find some kind of peace, solitude, serenity, whatever you want to call it. All you can do is try to find that for yourself. And it doesn't matter what other people think of you, or if you've told them, or if you've not told them. None of it matters. All that matters is that you get through it. So let's get back into the episode. I last said that I had to leave my middle daughter in Kentucky when I chose to take off back to Alabama to, I guess you would say, reconcile with Phil. And yes, that was another bad choice. But I felt like it didn't matter what I did. I was never going to, I guess you would say, be accepted back. And it had already been determined, evidently, by my family that I was not worthy of being around my oldest daughter because of what had happened. And I get that. At the time, I didn't think, I thought it was more me than anything. I didn't think that they were doing it because they were just never going to give it up. They were never going to even give me a chance. But I thought then it was about that I just was still making bad choices. And I understood that part of it. But after all these years, and after as many times as they've had to say, your mom still loves you, and she deserves to be forgiven. She's older now. She's not doing anything wrong, and she loves you. And as the years have passed, I've seen that it doesn't matter that I'm no longer making bad choices. It doesn't matter that I've got medical problems. It doesn't matter that my one dying wish might be to just have a moment with her. I'll never get that chance because they'll never forgive me. And they've basically pushed her in some way never to forgive me. And it's okay. I'm not blaming her in any way. I did leave, and I am sorry. But I do blame them. I blame the people that told her that I didn't love her or that I was not worthy. I blame them. But again, I take responsibility for the choices I made, and I just have to pick myself up and say I can't change it. I can't make them care enough to say it's okay to have a relationship with your mom. Anyway, it gets me upset when I talk about it. So let's get back into the story. There's plenty more chances to talk about it. So I go down to Alabama and we start living our life just as we had before. And I don't remember how it happened, but I decided to go see them, my family, my two oldest kids, my oldest daughter and my middle daughter. And my middle daughter's best friend, when she did live in Alabama, went with me. And at the time, I was just happy to see them. And, of course, thrilled to see my middle daughter. it had been like, I don't know, maybe a year. And I remember when I suggested that we stay at a little motel in my hometown. I said, we can go there. There's nothing there but two beds, but we can go there and sleep for the night, and then I'll bring her back tomorrow morning. And my mother said, oh no, that's not going to happen. And I said, okay, well, I mean, could she go there for a little while? And I don't know how it happened. I don't know if my middle daughter was like, yes, yes, I'll go. I want to go. I want to hang out with my friend. And I don't know how it happened, but she came to the hotel with me and her friend and my other two kids. And we were there in the hotel, bouncing around on the beds. They were, not me necessarily. I think I ordered pizza, or maybe just picked up food from the Dip, which is like a local place that we always get fast food from. Hometown place. And we went there, and we were in a room, and I can't tell you exactly how it happened, but we spent the night, and my daughter had gone outside a couple times with her friend and said that she thought she had seen them drive around, basically making sure we were there. And I had no intention, none, of doing anything wrong. I just wanted to see my kids, both of them. But of course, my oldest wasn't allowed to come. And to be honest, I don't even remember if she was there at the moment. I don't remember. Like at my mother's house. I just remember that my middle daughter was with me. And the next morning, we were up bright and early. I still wake up really early every morning. And of course I had a little kid then, and so we were up bright and early, and we were going to try to get breakfast somewhere, and we were just packing up. I think checkout was like 10 o'clock. And my daughter said she was going to go with me. And I said, no, you can't do that. And she's like, yes, I can. And I'm going back to Alabama with you and my sister and my brother and my friend. And I was like, oh my gosh. My mother is, in my head, I just had envisioned my mother having the state troopers there at the state line, that she was gonna, I don't know, send the hometown police. I just figured it was gonna be a horrible choice, and one that I would surely regret even contemplating. Anyway, to make a long story short, my daughter my middle daughter, said, no, I'm just going to call my grandmother and tell her that I'm going with you. And at the time, I don't think she meant like forever. I think she was thinking that she could do both. She could go with me, be around her old friends, be with me for, however long, and then she would just come back and maybe do the school year. I don't know what she was thinking, because all I could do was look at her and tell her this was going to be bad. And evidently, sure enough, it was. I was not able to listen to my mother's reception of the idea, but my middle daughter called her and said she wanted to go with me, and that she was gonna go with me, and I don't know how she put it, but I was looking at her making the phone call, and I know she got upset because my mother evidently did not take to that idea very fondly, and probably, I'm just guessing, but probably thought it was my idea, and it wasn't. All I could think about was, let's get the car loaded and let's hit the road. And we did, as quickly as possible, because I just knew my mother for sure would be on her way to town as quickly as possible to head off our escape, basically. If you only knew how dysfunctional my family was, that is how dysfunctional it was. I literally thought, just as I had many other times, that this was going to be bad. And I thought, she's headed up here right now to stop us. And we did make it out of town, which my little hometown is not very big anyway, but we made it out of town, and we were headed to Alabama as quickly as possible. I remember driving and thinking still that we would be intercepted by police or something. And we made it out of Kentucky, and we hit Tennessee, and I felt better as the state passed behind us, and I felt a lot better by the time we reached Nashville. And then by the time we were in Alabama, I felt like it was still going to be bad, because she was still going to have, I don't know, some kind of response that was going to be bad, just traumatic. And my middle daughter, and like I said, in the book there are names, but in this podcast I'm trying to do it as peaceful as I can, so as not to ruffle feathers in my family any more than I have already. But we made it to Alabama and to my 2-bedroom apartment. My daughter knew that she would probably be sleeping on the couch for a while. And of course, her friend was like, "You can stay over as much as you want." And it was a it was nice to see her happy. It was nice to see her making her own, I would say, decision. She told me that her grandmother, my mother, had said, "If you're going down there, then go." Um, Basically, like I said, I don't remember word for word, but it was basically hateful and making it out as though she was picking me and therefore she couldn't come back, or she had made her mind up and so therefore she chose me. And I think it really hurt her. I think that my mother was cruel and was getting back at me because she probably, like I said, thought that I had something to do with it. But she was flinging, you know, spiteness out. And my daughter said, "Okay." She said, "Okay." And you'd have to know my middle daughter, which of course you don't, but you'd have to know her to know the kind of person she is. Even back then, being a teenager, she was very wise beyond her years. She was very caring, very caring, and very together. Even if I had drug her all the way over to Germany and back and up to Michigan and back and whatever I had done with her, she was and still is a very put together person. She is level headed. She takes everything in stride. She's my go-to, even at my age. I talk things out with her so I can get a answer, a level-headed answer. It's almost as though she gives me the responses that I wish I had had from my own parents. She calms me down. She tells me what she thinks about things. She doesn't try to change my mind. She just tries to listen and calmly tell me what she thinks. And I love that about her. She's the only one of my entire family, and she's my daughter, but she's the only one of my entire family that isn't, I would say, dysfunctional. She, like I said, comes across as very level-headed and very put together. And I would say 90% of us in my family are extremely I guess I guess we're all just broken in a way, except for her. I don't know why. I went to a therapist um, later in life, not the first one. Of course, I hadn't even had children then. But I went to a therapist later in life, and I told her how each one of my children, how they seem to be, or at least seem to me to be, now that they're adults. And my therapist said that it sounded to her as though my middle daughter um, had the best grip on a balanced attitude and could give me um, I could take solace in the fact that she was there for me and I could talk to her. Where maybe I'm not so much talkative with my other children. Of course, my first one, there's issues with, but my son is, he's just not um, lived the lives that me and the girls have lived. So he's the youngest. He's my baby. Even though he's in his 30s now, he's still my baby. So talking to him, I don't necessarily get that level-headed response. My youngest daughter is probably the most like me in many ways. And so we are kind of like oil and vinegar at times. And that makes it a little difficult. My oldest daughter is the one that you're basically listening to the issues that I have and what mistakes I've made. So she hasn't really even spoken to me since her teenage years. Basically, it's hard to talk to my mother. I do. I still talk to her, just as I had previously said. I still talk to her even to this day, but it's hard to do that because I don't know if it's bitterness or if it's that she's just as depressed as I am about many things. And I think my mother would never admit it, but there's a lot of mistakes that she's made in life. And I feel like I've paid a price with her. I would say that probably sums it up. And me and my dad, we've come a long way. There was a time that me and him were like fuel on a fire, and it would quickly just burst into flames. But over the years, we've managed to just put that aside. We don't talk about the past. Every now and then he'll say something, but I have really no response because, as I previously said, when you make mistakes, especially as many as I have over the years, there's really no response. I mean, like I said, I take full responsibility of all the mistakes I made in life. And all the battles that I made for myself, and all the wrong turns, and all the holes I dug, everything that I did, I have no way to make it right now. There's just no way. It's always going to be the dark shadow that hangs over me. And I'm not even looking for forgiveness now because I'm not going to get it. I just look at it as though I've carried a lot of pain through the years, and I will continue to carry it until I'm no longer here. And I made peace with it a long time ago that my mistakes have truly cost me a lot. But I can't get a second chance, a third chance, a fourth chance, an 18th millionth chance. I can't get any chances because my family just won't allow it. But it's okay. I have 3 children that still talk to me, and I'm getting older, and I assume that I will carry my burden to my grave, which I again have made peace with. So, anyway, the point is, we did make it back to Alabama. My daughter just was the same girl that I had left in Kentucky, and she took right back to going to school and being with her friends. There's a lot more, but I get so long-winded, I guess I'm just going to stop here and pick it up next time. So, thank you for listening, and I hope and pray that if anybody is going through what I've been through in my life, that they realize they're not alone.